Hey guys, it's me, the Dumb Fanatic, and welcome to another draft analysis on this channel. But this isn't just any old, league that we're in. This is the next season of the Pokemon Premier League. Season 4 of the rebranded or the revived Pokemon Premier League, I guess you could say, run by Amber Gravy. Obviously, formerly myself, that founded the league way back in Generation 6. But we're running it back, and this season's quite special to me. I mentioned this in my week 1 game, which will be uploaded next week. But me and my wife are expecting a baby in September. This season going well, if we get into playoffs, etc., should probably finish around just before baby's due. So I really want to go the whole way. I've only ever made it to silver playoffs in PPL NX, but I had to forfeit my first playoff game because I had to take my wife to the hospital, which is a real shame because I actually really liked my NX team and I thought I could actually do really well with that. So I really want to go the whole way this time, and I feel like I've got a draft here which can really help me do that. Just before we get into it though, apologies, there's no fancy editing or anything, but I'm running behind a bit late, as you can, baby's on the way, so we're doing lots of preparation stuff. I've been doing the garden this week. I'm very burnt, if you can't tell, but I battled Kelly last night for week 1, and my forehead is just glowing. So I'm burnt from being outside all week. We've got decorating to do, we've got furniture building to do, we've got things to buy. Babies ain't cheap. Anyway, I'm rambling. Basically, what I'm saying is I want to do really well this season because I don't know if I'll be able to participate in the next season, because obviously I will be looking after my newborn baby. Depending on when that is though, potentially I could be able to join in, who knows. So I'm on the assumption that this is going to be my last draft league for a while. So I wanted to make a great team, obviously, but that is always the aim of draft league anyway. And for once in my life, well, actually in NX I got first pick in my division. So I took Valiant, of course, because you would. But I actually got second pick. And I believe there's 16 teams. I probably should have checked that first. I'm pretty sure there's 16 teams in the PPL this season. With one draft pool, and I got second pick. I wasn't really wanting to use Valiant again because I had just used it. I mean, you can already see all my first pick is on the screen. I didn't want to use Valiant. I was considering Dragapult, but Chase, Seabad, was first pick, and he messaged me saying, don't even think about having Dragapult because I'm taking it first pick. So I was like, okay, let's try and use something that I haven't tried using before. So the thing that I wanted to really use the most was going to be Terrapagos, for multiple reasons. One, I found out after picking it that Shroomraver, Dave, really wanted it after having a really good time with it in NX, so that was fun. That made me feel good and warm and fuzzy inside. Secondly, it's a really good contingency mon. Terra Shell is an amazing ability. You can just stop sweeps with it. You can roar. It's one of the few mons that isn't a poison type that has toxic. It's a very good rapid spinner because it can utilize the speed boost really well. Terra Starstorm is just Terra Starstorm, and the coverage on this thing is really good. Physical and special, it could get pretty much anything you want or expect it to get. It doesn't get Shadow Ball. I know it gets Dark Pulse, but it doesn't get Shadow Ball, and that was very confusing. But Aura Sphere, Bug Buzz, Dark Pulse, Dazzling Gleam, Earth Power, Energy Ball, Flamethrower. Didn't know it got Flare Blitz, Ice Beam, Meteor Beam, Scorching Sands. It even gets Rocks, gets Surf. There's so many moves on that looking at that I didn't know it got. Tri Attack for other normal coverage if that's all you need, and Terra Starstorm only has 8 PP. Even Weather Ball if I'm facing a weather team at some point. This thing's got an insane move pool, and its stats are great too. I think overall on paper they don't look massively impressive, but actually when you take 95 HP, 110 in both defenses, you don't even have to invest a lot in bulk to take hits. And then 105 special attack, again, doesn't seem great, but this thing has access to Calm Mind. Terra Starstorm is 120 base power plus stab. If you don't resist normal, it's going to be doing a lot of damage. Chuck a choice specs on this thing, and it's going to be wreaking havoc to a lot of teams. So I was really excited to try this. It's got a great move pool, great ability, great setup potential. It gets rock polish as well. I don't think I mentioned that. I'm pretty sure it gets rock polish. Yeah, it does. So even if you just want to go straight +2 speed and sweep that way, or break, you can. So yeah, Terrapagos, really excited to use it this season. Don't know how it'll go, because I've had no experience of anything like it, but yeah. So I kind of figured I'd probably want something that's going to complement Terrapagos really nicely. Obviously, it has got Terra Shell, but otherwise it's weak to fighting. And it'll also struggle against ghost types. I say struggle, it does have coverage moves, so it won't struggle in that sense, but it can't click. It can't click Terra Starstorm as freely as you would want to. And obviously steel types and rock types resist normal too. So next up, we have got Annihilate. I got to use Annihilate for a couple of games when I covered for a team in Stage 1 of the PPL NX, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It's an insane mon. I think it's slightly different to Terrapagos, but its like stat spread is also fairly similar. Good HP, good defenses, a bit more physical attack. Obviously, this thing's got some great, well, Defiant is pretty much the best ability for this thing, I think. Most of the time, it prevents Intimidate users from coming, or opponents have to at least consider whether they want to bring Intimidate users. It has access to one of the best moves, I think, in the game, in Rage Fist. It's got Drain Punch for like, you know, recovery. It's got great coverage. It's got Gunk Shot. It's got Fire Punch. It gets Ice Punch. It gets utility moves like Encore. This thing is fantastic. Like, it's very hard to kill, and you have to be very conscious about attacking it, because if this thing switches in on like a U-turn, for example, from anything, because it resists it so well, you're boosting Rage Fist. If you give this thing 1 or 2, you know, Rage Fist boosts, it hits like a truck, and you can run a bulky setup set. So with Bulk Up, like Resto Chesto kind of deal, it can be scary, but you can also run Scarfed. Because, you know, it gets things like U-turn, so you can pivot out on an expected switch. You have obviously got Rage Fist, you've got Close Combat, you've got Gunk Shot, as I've already mentioned. You've got Shadow Claw, I guess, as your next best physical offensive ghost move, other than Rage Fist. Yeah, like, this thing's really fun mon, and I used it. I think I used it really well in NX. I think I got like 6 kills with 2 games in it, and people have to prep for it. It's a mon. I mean, so is Terrapagos, but Annihilate is a mon that you have to prep for, pretty much regardless, because fighting and Ghost as a combination is an insane combo. So yeah, it's also a fighting immunity, which obviously Terrapagos is weak to once Terra Shell is broken by either like hazards or just from an attack, or from like Toxic or something. So yeah, it's a really fun mon that I have a limited experience using, but from that limited experience I really enjoyed it, and from speaking to a lot of people who have used it, they couldn't recommend it enough. So I decided to bring Annihilate, and I've realised I haven't put nicknames on them. I'll leave them as a surprise for you. So next up, and I was talking to some of the guys in the council Discord, I can't remember what I was thinking of taking at this point, but Amber actually said to me, you probably need something else for ghosts, because while Annihilate is a ghost, and can hit ghosts with Rage Fist, if you don't get Rage Fist online, then you might struggle. So we've gone for a really strong Dark type. I think Darkrai had gone at this point, so we went for the next best thing, and that's going to be Weavile. Weavile breaks the mold from the first 2, who are kind of like semi-quick, bulky offense, who can also just be like fat if they want to be. We've gone pure offense in this next pick, and I think it's probably a really good shout, because it provides me a lot of things that I do need at this point. So, speed, obviously base 125 speed, it's one of the fastest mons in draft format, other than your stupidly fast things like Dragapult and Regieleki, etc. Great move pool, great physical coverage that it needs, Swords Dance, priority, some interesting abilities. So you got Pressure Pickpocket, so I could run, I don't know, like a Focus Sash set 1 week with Pickpocket, steal an opponent's item. You know, if I really wanted to. Pressure, Burns PP, which is really helpful with limited sort of PP moves. Although saying that, I don't think Weavile really wants to stay in on things too much. But yeah, like this thing has got a great move set. Break to get rid of screens. Avalanche, probably wouldn't be using. You've got Fake Out for that really quick priority. You obviously have Ice Shard as well. Sorry I keep yawning, guys. I've just woken up like half an hour ago. You've got Ice Spinner. You might use it, I guess, but when you've got Icicle Crash and also Triple Axle, you probably don't need to use it. Poison Jab for fairies, but then you've also got like Low Kick, Amber Break that I've already mentioned for steel types who do resist the ice. But then you've also just got really strong knockoff, which yeah, is going to go really far with, you know, kicking off Assault Vests or Moranga Berries, which could kind of come for Terrapagos, or the berry that damages the turtle when it hits a move. I've forgotten what that berry's called. It's like a tiny little bit of chip, but that breaks Terra Shell. So that's really nice for that. Knockoff's just good in general. Trailblaze, X-Scissor, Swords Dance, it's another Taunt mon. Annihilate and Weavile both have Taunt. I think I'm looking too much into the moveset now if I go this far down. But overall, this Weavile's been around since Gen 4, and I actually don't think I've ever used it in a draft league. And I'm really looking forward to it because I do like my kind of like fast offensive mons. I think that suits my style of play quite well. So I can see myself using Weavile quite well here. So I'm really excited for that. So next up, the fairies. This was the fairy round. I think people started to take the fairies, which were going thick and fast. So I decided again to pick up another mon. So all of these mons I haven't used, or apart from Annihilate, where I've used it for like 2 games. We took Pheasantipity. Now the reason I took that is because I wanted a grounded poison type too. I needed a fighting resist, and there isn't many better combinations to resist fighting than this. Psychic types could be a slight issue with Annihilate as well, but I have also got Weavile and Terrapagos so far, but that can be patched up anyway. So Pheasantipity, great abilities. Toxic Chain, obviously having a chance to Toxic something with any move that I click that does damage is great, but obviously I have Toxic in itself if I just want to run Toxic, which can't miss because I'm a poison type. Technician if I really want to go a more offensive route. It's not the most offensive Pokemon in the world of base 91 attack, but it's usable with Technician, and this thing does get some moves, quite a lot of moves actually that are boosted by Technician, I think. Stats wise, incredible special defense, and actually 82 defense and 88 HP is also really workable, but this thing's actually kind of like surprisingly fat, and it's actually really quick as well. It's base 99 speed. So I'm kind of like patching up a bit of my speed tier issues here. Annihilate is 90, I believe. Terrapagos 85, 99, 125, but we'll fix that later on. So yeah, I think this mon, I haven't really played against it too much, but I know it can be quite annoying. Obviously, like the beat up Toxic Chain can be really obnoxious, but you could just run Toxic as well for the same effect, to be honest. Or there's things that you can run with Technician, for example, Dual Wing Beat. Acrobatics, maybe not after you've lost your item. Quick attack, Tail Slap. I'm looking through moves now, and all that Technician Acid Spray could be quite fun one week. Aerial Ace, Aerial Cutter, although Disarming Voice, you might as well just run Moonblast or Dazzling Gleam. It's also got the physical moveset though, Gunk Shot, Play Rough. It's got lots of good moves. Thief could be fun one week. Maybe I'll bring Technician Thief one week, who knows. It's just a cool mon. I think it's probably going to be more fat, but it really helps with my fighting weakness that I kind of had so far, and my fairy weakness that I had so far. It's got recovery, it's got momentum. I think U-turn along with Annihilate, that could be a nice little core, as long as there aren't any super scary psychic types, but I think that's probably one of the scarier things for me so far. So that was Weavile I had on the screen then. Really good job, me. So next I'm kind of thinking, okay, well I need something that can take on psychic types. I probably need some Stealth Rocks. I know Annihilate and Terrapagos both get Stealth Rocks, but they're probably not ones you want to run Stealth Rocks on every week. And also Terra Captains. So we are allowed to Terra this season. Certain Pokemon were banned from being Terra'd, and basically every Pokemon had a normal value, and anything that could Terrestrialize then had an increased value, which applied to your normal budget. But also you had a 30-point Terra budget, so that also then applied to the Terra budget. So this is a Pokemon I have used before, but I haven't used it as a Terra Captain, and that is Jirachi. I feel like a Terra Captain on one of these, base 100 across the board, like Mythic types, is going to be really nice. It allows me to bring it defensively or offensively. Jirachi has got Wish, so it can be defensive and sustain itself. It can be offensive because it's got a really good move pool. I'm not even going to go over Serene Grace because we all know what Jirachi does. It flinches things with Iron Head, it flinches things with Zen Headbutt, it's got coverage if you want to be physical or special. Ice Punch, Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, Energy Ball, Drain Punch, Dazzling Gleam, Calm Mind for setup, Aura Sphere, Baton Pass for momentum as well as U-turn, Psychic Noise to stop recovery, Psychic for strong Psychic Stab, Shadow Ball, Stealth Rock, Steel Beam if you want to, Doom's Desire is really fun. Trick Room and Trick if you need to, bring Trick Room to be anti-Trick Room in case you expect that from someone, or Trick just to slow down bulky Mons with a choice item, or a setup Mon with a choice item. It's got all those tricks up its sleeve. And even in the usually useless moves, you've got the likes of Charge Beam, which could be quite interesting. Gravity, Icy Wind is a really good support move, slowing down your opponent. Skill Swap, if there's anything stupidly scary that needs its skill swapping, but I don't know if I want to give things Serene Grace. It's Jirachi, we all know what it does, and if it hasn't got a coverage move already, when I do want to terrestrialize, say into a Warp type, it has Warp Pulse. I think it gets Life Fury, I didn't even know that. But with Terra, this thing can be molded for all situations that I need, like a really strong Mon for. It's definitely not as good as it used to be. Jirachi is definitely not as good as it used to be. But I think it's still... Oh, it gets Reflect, and I'm assuming it gets Light Screen too. Also something else I probably needed on this team. It's just a really good Mon. I haven't got any specific plans for it so far. But I think probably just Terra Steel Iron Head is probably going to come at some point, because that is going to hit hard and be really frustrating for my opponent to hit. So a Choice Scarf set like that maybe, or like a Sub Carmine set could be really useful one week. So yeah, Terra Jirachi, I've not seen anyone use it before. Amber wanted to use it and I sniped it from her, so again, that was fun. That's Dave and Amber I've sniped so far, so really good. Yeah, that's where we are with Jirachi. So moving on, next pick is going to be another one that I used actually, and I think you're all going to get a sense of deja vu shortly here, but it's actually something I used in my last season of PPL. I did want a grass type at this point, and I was thinking about Ogerpon, but I don't know if I could quite afford it at this point with what else I wanted to use. So then there was Arboliva, or Arboliva, however you say it, was a potential pick. But Alex wanted that, and I wasn't going to snipe him. Actually, I didn't know that Dave and Amber wanted those Mons, whereas I actually knew Alex wanted that, and we're all friends, so I was like, no, you know what, we'll work around it. And actually, we've gone for Shaman. It's really fitting. Getting personal here for a second, but Courtney's mum passed away last year. Her favourite animal was a hedgehog, so I felt, you know what, it is fitting that we get this in for Sharon, and hopefully use it well. The only difference this time is this isn't a Terra Captain. I could have made it a Terra Captain, and I still could during the season, but I've got another Terra Captain which I think is probably more terrifying for my opponents, so I'm going to try and keep it on there as long as I can, but I think if Terra Shaman's going to be useful one week, there's no reason why I won't just transfer it on, use it, transfer it off, which I'm pretty sure I can do, but this is what Amber will tell me I'm not allowed in the comments. So Shaman, same stats as Jirachi, great ability in Natural Cure. I can absorb status on this thing that I don't want to absorb on Terrapagos, on Annihilate. I don't think it has Aromatherapy. I don't even know if that's a move anymore. No, it doesn't have Aromatherapy. I'm sure it had that before, or Heal Bell. Shaman, like the move pool is quite shallow in terms of different moves, but I think the moves it gets are just about enough. But it's a really fat grass type, which is really nice. But it's also a fairly speedy grass type and a fairly strong, offensive. It's got base 100s in attack stats, but it's got strong moves to make up for it. So for example, obviously it gets Air Slash because of the Sky form. You've got Earth Power, Dazzling Gleam, Baton Pass again. So I've got momentum on Shaman, Jirachi, Fez, Annihilate. Probably get Baton Pass on Weavile as well. I don't know, but You've got Giga Drain for self-sustain. Healing Wish is really nice. I think Jirachi and Shaman both have Healing Wish, so if I want to annihilate sweep one day, you know, if one Healing Wish isn't enough, I'll have 2. Leaf Storm is really strong. Probably not much of a reason to run it though, because obviously Shaman does get Seed Flare, which is a 40% chance to lower the opponent's special defense by 2. So you can just kind of spam the Seed Flare button, base 120 power as well. Even if it hits a mon that's, you know, resists grass, you've then got Earth Power, Air Slash, Dazzling Gleam to then deal up a really lethal blow afterwards, because that's essentially a +2 to you. So it either forces them to switch or take a big hit. Synthesis for the self-sustain. It also gets Leech Seed. It also gets Rest, and Rest with Natural Cure is a really nice combination. And it has got some physical moves if you did want to run physical, so Seed Bombs and Headbutt. It does get Sword Stance, Quick Attack, Play Rough. A limited moveset. Trailblaze could be fun one week. And actually I didn't know it got Tailwind. It makes sense because obviously Skyform. But I'm looking at the other moves now. There's not really a lot here that you'd want to use. There is potentially Worry Seed, again, if there's something that has an ability you're really worried about. You could use that too. So it's Shaman. It's flexible. It can be offensive for me one week. It could be really fat and defensive for me one week. But so far, these 6, this is a really fat team. So I probably need some actual kind of like power. You've now seen probably the rest of my team here, but well, I'll pretend you didn't just see that. I'm too lazy to take it out in editing. So going back again to my previous team, we've gone Gastrodon. Reason we need a Gastrodon. Well, I say we need a Gastrodon. I always need Gastrodon. Fidel Gastro is my life. But I needed a ground type. So far I didn't have a water type. And it gives me another immunity to water, which isn't necessarily like an issue to my team, but nice to have because water is a very common type. I think the main thing I wanted here was spikes. And a lot of good mons with spikes and a ground type were going, or were just bottom of the barrel that I didn't want, like the Sand Slash for example. And I've used Gastrodon really well in the past. It's just really fat, and actually the more fat I have, the easier it is for me to then pivot away from making Terrapagos fat every week, Annihilate fat every week. I can kind of pivot on to these different mons. So I've used Gastrodon before. I'm very comfortable in using it. Great move pool, support and offensive. Once again, it's got what, 83 attack, 92 special attack, so it's not a slouch, not the strongest by any means, but you know, it's got acid armor to raise its defense. It's got curse, it's got counter, clear smog if you want to, you know, clear people of their stat buffs. You've got earthquake and earth power for strong stab. You've got hydro pump, ice beam for good coverage, memento to help set up a potential sweep on one of my many mons. It could be Weavile, it could be the turtle, it could be Annihilate, any of those kinds of things. Recover for self-sustain, rock slide good coverage, sludge bomb and sludge wave for good coverage, spikes and stealth rocks. It's another stealth rocker for me, and it means I don't have to waste a slot on Annihilate and Terrapagos, as I said, or even Jirachi. But spikes, this is my only one with spikes on the draft, so that was kind of important they had that. That's pretty much it in terms of moves. It does obviously have Storm Drain, which I think is probably the main ability you're going to use. Sticky Hold can be nice for not having items knocked off. Sand Force is near useless. I haven't got Sand Core, spoilers, and it won't be used, you know, much. Storm Drain itself is really nice. It gives you a +1 special attack, and you're immune to water, which is really nice. Grass isn't really an issue to my team at this point. I've got Shaman, I've got Jirachi, and I have Weavile. Weavile alone is probably enough to scare off a lot of grass types because it's got very strong ice moves and it's fast. So my draft also actually kind of, the next 2 mons specifically also really deter grass types. So if you want to bring a grass type for Gastrodon, you have to deal with half of my team potentially one-shotting you. So that's Gastrodon. Fidel Gastro is back once again because I seem to be stuck to it. I actually think I might have thought about Swampert too. I know it doesn't get spikes, and I used that in NX and I really liked it, but Gastrodon always makes its way back to me. Next is Volcanion, and this is my second Terra Captain because for some reason it was 13 points, and I was like, you know what, it's 1 point more I think than normal Volcanion, I'm just going to go for it. And yeah, It's open terror, by the way. You have to declare your terror, so I don't have to set a terror for this. So I could just bring terror, water, steam eruption every week if I wanted to, or terror, fire, overheat from a base 130 special attack. Or I can go fairy, if I need a bulky set. Or, I could run something that's weak to water. But again, I have water absorb. This is my second water immunity. So even if I am Terrafire, I'm immune to water. So that's one weakness, less weakness. Again, it kind of fits the archetype of what I had going with Terrapagos and Annihilate. Fat offense. I didn't realise until I drafted it how fat this thing is. 80. I mean, mainly the physical defense. And actually, I didn't realise that had 110 attack as well. A lot of its best moves are special, so I think people just see special. But if you look for its move pool, it's got an insane move pool. Body Press usable, Brick Break, Earth Power and Earthquake, so you've got strong ground moves in both physical and special. Explosion if you want to go boom, Flame Charge to set up your speed, Fire Blast, Flamethrower, Flare Blitz, strong fire coverage, Flash Cannon for steel coverage if you need to hit fairies for whatever reason that Steam Eruption doesn't hit. Haste again to get rid of stat changes. Heat Crash for that really strong physical fire move because it's quite a heavy boy. A heavy Slam as well there. Hydro Pump, but not really any reason to run Hydro Pump. Liquidation, Overheat, Rock Slide, Scorching Sands, Scald is a nice little water option if you don't trust Steam Eruption to hit. Sludge Bomb and Sludge Wave, another option to hit fairies. Also, I was going to say grass type, but you're a fire type, so it doesn't matter. Excuse me, Steam Eruption. Yeah, it's a more accurate version of Hydro Pump, same power, but also has a chance to burn. Stone Edge, obviously Terror Blast to go with the terrors, and it's got Will-O-Wisp, Wild Charge. Like, this thing's moveset is insane. There's probably more stuff here that it has that you won't see. Solar Beam, Power Herb Solar Beam is always a possibility. Yeah, with Terror, this thing's going to break teams, I can already tell. It's doing calcs with Choice Specs Terror Water Steam Eruption for week 1 versus Kelly. I can say this because I've already played Kelly. It was really funny. Things that resist it, don't resist it. I think it near enough one-shot Ogerpon, unless it was like bulky Ogerpon. So yeah, that was fun. So I'm really looking forward to using this. I've never looked at using Volcanion before. I haven't seen it used much. I believe Nexus used it before, but I don't think it was Terra. And I know Nexus really struggled last season, so I'm hoping that I can kind of do some work with it because it looks like a really fun mon. Next up is a mon I have used before, but not for a very long time, and I think it's a mon that gets slept on, and that's Tornadus. Reason I needed Tornadus, I wanted some more speed to fix my speed tiers a bit. So at the moment I had my base 100s and I had Weavile. This fits in really nicely at 111. It's really slept on. Flying, offensive, like strong offensive flying types could be really impressive. Because flying is a really good offensive type. And pair it with Tornadus, who's got insane coverage, and a base 115 attack and a base 125 special attack, this thing can hit insanely hard. And it's got 2 incredible abilities. One being Prankster. Prankster Tailwind comes to mind immediately there. But also Defiant, so that's my second Defiant user, which is another reason why people have to think about bringing like sort of Intimidate or other moves that might lower stats as secondary effects. But I mean, this thing's moveset, I mean, it's got Bleakwind Storm. You've got Hurricane, but Bleakwind Storm is a slightly more accurate version and a slightly weaker version. But then you've got your setup, you've got Brick Break, you've got Acrobatics, Agility if you want to be like a bulky set, but you know, or like mixed defense, and invest in both your attacks. You could then run Agility. You've got strong coverage. Chain of Water isn't strong, but it's a water type, so you can then hit rock and ground types really hard. Crunch, Dark Pulse, Extra Sensory, Focus Blast, Grass Knot, Hammer Arm, Heat Wave. Another knockoff user is really nice, and it can be quite a strong one. Hurricane is going to be probably the main move that you'll see. Psychic, Sludge Bomb, Sludge Wave. Substitute, Prankster Substitute could be really nice just to scout things out. You've got Prankster Taunt, U-Turn for momentum, and then there's probably a few more like moves down here that you probably wouldn't use, maybe other than Icy Wind. Even then, you could do Prankster Sunny Day, Snowscape, Sandstorm, Rain Dance, like Prankster Rain Dance. I don't think I have many mons that benefit from that. I said I didn't have a Sandclaw. I'm looking at this now, I'm thinking, you know what? Clearly, Prankster Sandstorm Tornadus into Gastrodon is the play, at least one time this season. But you know, that Prankster Tailwind could come in clutch one week, for example, if someone gets going with like a few Dragon Dancers or an Agility. Or Taunt to stop some kind of setup. I've got a lot of options to either remove stats, phase people out, or taunt people. But again, like, I think Hurricanes off a base 125 special attack. It hits harder than Taunt T, I believe. I can't remember, but I think this is a mon that people will sleep on and probably not prep enough for. So I'm hoping I can catch a few people off guard with this. Then we've got our 2 final picks. I'm realising this video is like half an hour, so I'm not going to dwell on these ones now. I had 1 point left, so we got Charge Bug. I didn't have an electric type. I obviously have got Terror Captains, who I can make electric, and I've got things with electric coverage, so I'm not too worried. You'll also notice I don't have a dragon, but I genuinely don't think dragon types are as important now as they were in the older generations. I think power creep and terror and just generally like the state of the draft format means that dragons aren't super important, because you've got fairy types, you've got steel types, yes they've got coverage, you've just got really strong mons out there that can stop dragons more than they could have maybe Gen 6, Gen 7. So and plus also I had 1 point. I was looking at Diplin. Diplin was my other option here, but actually we looked at the board and thought I probably don't need that as much. Now I have Shaman. I think the original plan was I was potentially going to have Terra. No, I was going to have Vicar Vault and take Diplin still, and then have some points to buy something else. But we settled on this. Charge Bung, deceptively fat. Move pool, quite shallow, but has what it needs. It's got Volt Switch, it's got Thunderwave, it's got Sticky Webs, which is another thing that people have to be worried about in prep. So people might overlook Charger Bug, but I genuinely think Charger Bug has got places in games, because with a Violet, this thing's got massive defense and special defense. I think Dave Shroom ran a calc for me, and Choice Band Heat Crash is a 50% chance to kill Charger Bug if you're max HP, max defense with Violet. You can take, or is it Flare Blitz? It was one of those two. You could take it from a Choice Banded Adamant Gouging Fire, which I found hilarious. Charge Bug is Charge Bug a Terror Captain? It might be. I don't know if it is. I don't think it is. I think I used all mine. But yeah, I'm not going to dwell on that too much because it's a Charge Bug, but it's there. It could be funny to bring 1 week, and I think it will definitely have its place. And then I brought back Impidimp from NX because we all got to draft 1 or 2 0-point mascots. And while I know a lot of people pick their mascots just because, you know, it's funny, at least Impidimp has some kind of play. It's another Prankster user. Prankster screens, Prankster parking. I can't say it now. Parting shot. There you go. Could be really useful too. So that's the team. That's Norwich Skitty for this season. Week 1, as I mentioned a few times throughout the video, is against Kelly, aka Under the Radar, who seems to have come out of retirement for this, and I'm really looking forward to that because Kelly's a really good battler. He always done really well in like the old 3DS game days. I don't know too much about what his record's like this generation or Generation 8, but me and Kelly go a long way back to the start of the PPL. So it's going to be a good game. Plus we also get told both of us have the best arses, like the best bums. So I just went really British there. The best backsides out of like all Draft League players. So it's the battle of all time there. So if you guys have made it this far and have enjoyed this battle, my brain's gone. I'm blaming Baby Brain. If you enjoyed this team draft analysis, we got there in the end. God, I'm so professional. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Make sure you're here next week for week 1 and obviously weeks after that for the battles after. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.